That moves us to our action agenda. Do we have any motions on items that were discussed in executive session?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve selected employment items as shown in Exhibit A.
Second.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
There were two items that there was discussion of public discussion, so I'd like to put on public record of items 26 and 27 in the, just for opening. 27 was special education stipends. This would not be paid by state dollars. This would be paid by a program, SC. Victory SC. They would pay for some of our students who are special education. We're trying to give them job skills. This would allow for those teachers who work within the district to receive up to $1,000 for Victory SC. It's not state funds, but we would need approval to give those teachers that. The second item, item 26 in the packet, just for public understanding, is a position that's being repurposed. It's a bond position paid from bond funds, repurposed from finance to operations. This will allow us to get a little bit more flexibility for Alan as he grapples with 3.8 million square feet to someone to help him with the bond projects there. So just bringing those out of executive session for discussion on this motion.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Ross. We have a motion that's been properly second. All
Ms.
those,
Snipes, can I ask a follow-up question that did not occur to me previously? So the funds for that position are currently in the operating budget, but it's going to be paid for out of the bond referendum funds, correct?
No, ma'am. The funds for this is in the bond referendum, will be paid for out of the bond referendum.
So it's not moving from operations to bond?
No, ma'am. Oh, Ms. Tucker, could you speak to that?
This was the position, the procurement position that was originally brought to the board to be paid for out of bond referendum funds. Once we posted that position, we didn't get any interest in it, and so we just wanted to reallocate that position that would still be paid for out of referendum funds.
Okay, and then my other question was, since we're in public, and this is not permanent, so if, when the bond referendum is wrapped up, this position would go away?
That's correct. The position, the posting for all of the bookkeeper, what was procurement that would be now construction, all say that these last the length of the project, whether the bond referendum project ends or the funds are exhausted first, whichever comes first. So the position would be.
So if for some reason the district wanted to keep that, it would then move to the operating budget, and the board at that point would have to approve it as a new position?
Correct. It would have to come back during the budget process or as a new position.
Thank you.
thank you. Again, we have a motion on the floor that's been properly second. All those in favor? And the motion carries 7-0.
Madam Chair, I move the board approve professional services with Graduation Alliance as shown in Exhibit C.
Second.
We have another motion on the floor for Graduation Alliance that has been properly second. All those in favor? And the motion carries 7-0.
Madam Chair, I move the board approve the outline services with Stan Tucker, as well as approving additional funds up to $55,000 for other elementary schools to use Mr. Tucker during the 2025 to 2026 school year, as shown in Exhibit D.
Second.
All those in favor? And the motion carries 7-0. That moves us to the approval of first reading of proposed revisions to board policy JLCDA.
Coming to the lectern to present the next three items with your approval, Madam Chair. Exhibit E, F, and G is our, I'm sorry,
Do we read them individually?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the first reading of proposed revisions to board policy JLCDA, individual healthcare plans, as shown in Exhibit E.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any questions? All those in favor? And the motion carries 7-0.
Make a motion to approve the first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy JICG, tobacco use by student, as shown in Exhibit F.
Second.
Madam Chair.
Yes, I was coming to you.
I move to amend and add to Board Policy JICG, tobacco use by students. I have copies for everyone with an example. The addition would be the district will obtain vape detection devices and also maintain them for all school district, 5 campus restrooms, and changing facilities.
A second.
Yes,
At this time, do we have any such devices, and what kind of devices are you recommending that you say?
Yeah.
I know we have smoke detectors.
Right. So this is just a basic example to give you kind of a jump start. I submitted this a couple of months ago, just kind of as an agenda item. Had a lot of community concern from, parents and students with, vaping and different sorts of contraband in our restrooms. And so the goal is, as a school district, to provide a safe, area, restroom environment. So these various different devices, this was, just one particular type that's highly rated, used by a lot of different, facilities. Obviously, the district can go through their vetting and procurement processes to get the best situation. But just to kind of give an alert, you can't necessarily have a staff member in the bathroom for privacy reasons, so it's kind of more of a
Right.
electronic means.
Can I,
So-
let me ask one more question, just to follow up. Could we not just still approve the first reading of this like it stands, and then ask our superintendent to look into this? This could be a purchase issue or something for us to, obviously, we're gonna have to purchase this. I don't know that it would be I understand what you're saying, I don't think it's a bad idea, but I got a sneaky feeling technology is gonna change pretty rapidly, and I would be, if you made a proposal or asked the superintendent to look into, or Mr. Harris or whoever would be in charge of this, to look into what would be the best solution for that, and then ask the board to, vote for the purchase of such items. I think that most people would be in favor of that.
I had a similar thought. I'm not anti, a discussion, on this, but I would like to know exactly, which device we're going for and all the particulars before we made it a policy, because then I think we would have to do it, and I'm not saying I don't want to do it, I just don't know that we have enough information to do it. But I can support the notion of us getting more information, whatever that looks like. As I look at Dr. Harris. Because I don't know what that would look like, but, I'm open to that conversation at a different meeting.
Yeah, I would first want to know if we have an actual problem. If this is a systemic issue, is it an individual issue? And kind of categorize it based on what would the district recommendation be. Personally, I don't think that there's any evidence that there's a systemic issue. Maybe it occurs incidentally in one school, but overall, I don't think we're seeing a systemic issue here with that. And then is this the best solution? If there is an issue, a problem, is this the best solution? These are, vaping detection devices are actually very easy to defeat. And so I don't know that would be a very good use of money. But I would prefer to hear that if we have a recommendation for it from the administration.
So, Dr. Harris, I'm gonna ask, I'm gonna exercise my right as chair. I don't even know if I can do that, but I am gonna ask, Trustee Bainham has brought this up, and I've been trying to do a good job of at least having the conversations so we can decide, what the path forward should be. So I'm publicly asking if we could just maybe plan to have a more in-depth discussion on this topic in particular, and kind of what you all see as the need. Maybe it's a need in some areas that we start out with if we decide to do something, because we don't know the cost. I don't know where the money comes from, but something that's more of a discussion centered around this that has more information for us. Because to be honest, I don't think, speaking for myself, I don't even know what questions to ask because I don't feel like I have enough information. But I know this is a concern of some parents, and so we at least want to be understanding of that. Dr. Ross, did you want to say something?
I would ask that as we gather this, if any parent, community member knows firsthand of this, we have to report it. If we can report this, whether it's through the Stop It app or to the administrator, that gives the administrator documentation of an event happening. We can address things once they're brought to our attention. So I look at the motion. I would like to look at if we have that data, every bathroom and changing facility in our district, that's a lot. That's elementary school bathrooms, that's district office facilities. That's going to be a huge monetary push, and we have other needs that are going to come out of for discipline. So I would think if we could record that data, that I know people tell the board member stuff, but if it doesn't get to us, we don't have that firsthand ability to investigate. And so that's something that I would ask, is that we get that information to the schools so that we can build that data set, and then gives Dr. Harris and his team an opportunity to respond.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
If I could just close with,
Yeah.
basically, we know it's a real problem. Well, let's live in reality. I've had multiple complaints directly to me from parents, from students, from my own daughter. I'm not going to call out the different schools, but it's a real problem. So this is to bring attention to an issue. We know anything I put on the table is not going to pass. So
Well, let's not do that. I am committing to the conversation. I'm not, but I do think it needs to be separate from adding it in this policy, just without the information of cost or what the exact system is gonna be and that sort of thing. Ms. Huddle and then Ms. Barnhart.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just want to point out that I don't think that most students think of the Stop It app for this. And I also kind of worry that we use it, if we were to use it for something like that, because in the scheme of things, someone vaping in the bathroom probably seems trivial to a student versus a kid getting bullied or whatever. I just think if we're going to use it for that, I think that needs to be widely communicated, because based on the parents I've talked to, I don't think they think of it as that.
Needing to have some
Yeah,
education around it.
And I would just tell y'all, during COVID, you know how a lot of restaurants had outdoor seating areas? I won't say the restaurant because it'll tell you where this high school is that's real close to it, but there was a huge group of students eating at that restaurant, and I would say over 50% of them were vaping while they were eating. I mean, this is a huge problem. And if it's happening there, it's probably happening in a school because it's real easy to hide. So I just want, and those things, it's so dangerous. And I hate that we don't, I'd like us to recognize what a problem it is and talk about it. And maybe this isn't the solution, but why can't we just put it on the agenda and talk about it?
And I have said that I'm committing publicly to doing that. Ms. Barnhart?
That kind of goes with the same thing. I mean, it obviously is an issue, and to deny that is, again, to deny reality. But could we possibly get some feedback from the schools, from the principals, from the administrators in between now and our next meeting? Because this is just the first reading of this policy. Because I definitely do think going into the future, it would be good to have something like Mr. Bainham has suggested within the policy itself. But to get the feedback from the schools and from the principals and from what they see, boots on the ground, to confirm or deny, kind of what a problem it is that they're seeing. Because like I said, we're not always in the schools, we're not there with the kids, but based off of statistical data, it is a growing issue, so.
And let me be very clear, no one denies that vaping is an issue with our children. Drug use, alcoholism, these are issues. We have, whether it's cigarettes or vapes, this is an issue. All I'm saying is that if you're hearing something, we have to act as a team. Sometimes we get stuff and we say, a lot of parents are reporting to me, and that school is not given the opportunity to look at it. So if you don't want to report it to the superintendent or Dr. Harris, encourage those families to talk to the principals. And that way we can get that addressed. If it's happening to that degree, it's not coming to our offices. If you're hearing it, whether it's stop it, that's a easy way for people to report an issue like that. I don't think it's trivial for us to stop it. I think if there's a child underage who is vaping, alcohol, whatever it is, I think that's something that if they see it, we got to say something. So it can't be in isolation. If a lot of parents are coming to you about it, report that to the superintendent or ask them to go to Dr. Harris. They can go to their school principal. But I think you don't beat this by one person fighting it. You beat it with the entire community coming together on it. We want to look at a strategy that works. It's just like the strategic planning process. What actually stops this? It's going to be our ability to work with that child. And if we can identify them, then I think that's the goal. So any information we can get. But I did want to pause here and give my floor to Dr. Harris, who works kind of firsthand with it. Is there any suggestions that you would have as we move forward?
This is a conversation that we've had any number of times with administrators. And I will say to you that there are, do vape detectors work? Do they work in terms of sounding off? In fact, if there is some detection, certainly they will certainly sound the alarm. But I think we've got to have the responses to those vape detectors. And I think when you hear from administrators, when I've talked with administrators, I think there becomes another side to the issue of having vape detectors. The ability to hide and to hide vapes is another area of concern. So I too say that, yes, certainly it is an area that needs to be addressed. We are addressing it with a curriculum called a vape. Our curriculum that's a vape detector, not vape detector, but a vape educate program that's available in our middle and high schools. And it's an online program that's available for students, and it's a opportunity for them to work through modules to better understand and to also educate themselves and bring about awareness. So those things are in place. We purchased that. So I think that helps, but I don't deny that there are issues of vaping. However, I just think there is more to the scenario and the conversation than simply having vape detectors in restaurants. And I'm sort of open to having more conversations so that we can talk about just more in detail what I mean when I say that. But those are my initial thoughts.
All right, thank you. Mr. Satterfield, and then I'm going to call for the vote.
Yes, thanks for that input, Mr. Harris. And what Dr. Ross said is accurate. Listen, I can tell you from working in high schools, if you put them in the bathrooms, they'll smoke in the stairwells. They'll smoke in the parking lot or vape. They find a little nook and cranny, they do it. That's something that high schools have been dealing with for a long time. And it's not a large portion of the kids. Fewer and fewer kids smoke in schools, or probably vaping is becoming a bit popular. But I do like the idea of, the recommendation of separating from the policy change to actually coming up with a plan or an action. So if you can kind of look into that, I've expressed this before, the way you change behaviors is if the consequences are great enough, then you can change behaviors. So probably there's different avenues of looking at how to deter or, keep kids from going that route, at least on school grounds. But I think it's warranted because of the concerns that Mr. Boehner brought up. I think it's warranted to look at and see all the different, as you were saying, all the different angles and all the different resources that we have on how to change those behaviors and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, and nobody denies that vaping exists. My point was, does it rise to the level, are we seeing actual problems in our schools with it to the point that it would justify the expense that's being recommended by Mr. Bainham's solution? The other thing is we're being presented with a solution without actually categorizing the problem, and that's my point, is we need to hear about the actual problem to the extent that it exists in our schools. Also, Mr. Bainham in the past has called for, stated very multiple times that we have too many administrators. Well, those are the people who would respond to alarms from vaping. And so how do we reconcile those two narratives? So that's my point, is we need more information. I'm happy to consider it, whatever the district puts together and recommends, but I don't want to just out of the box, just jump into a solution where we haven't actually discussed it.
All right, I'm gonna call, for the vote. We will get it on the agenda, though, for discussion. Yes, Ms. Barnhart seconded the, amendment. So we have an amendment, to the policy on the floor. All those in favor? All those opposed? And the motion fails. And then we have the original motion on the floor to approve first reading of the policy. All those in favor? And the motion carries 7-0.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy JLCDB, use of epinephrine auto-injectors as shown in Exhibit G.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Do you have any questions?
I was reading over that policy. Is there, and, I don't know that we have a nurse representative here. Oh, we do?
I'm smart enough to bring the nurse with me.
You're not a nurse. I didn't notice, and maybe somebody can point out where I'm wrong on this, but is there an age limit on this, or is there a certain grade level requirement that they will be allowed to self-administer? I know it said that if the doctor signs off and says, yeah, I'm okay with it, that we've gone through the process.
So there's not a specific age limit. It is typically seen more in our middle schools and high schools. Occasionally, we have an elementary school student that is a different maturity level, maybe has been dealing with the illness for a long time, and if the nurse feels comfortable and confident that they can manage their illness, and if the doctor feels confident of that and will sign off the papers, then they will do it. It's really a case-by-case based on different cognitive abilities, maturity, anxiety level, that sort of thing.
So you're pretty comfortable with that? The only reason I brought that up, well, one of the reasons I brought that up is I know that if it's a federally controlled substance, the kids are not allowed to self-administer. They have to go to the nurse, and the nurse gives it to them. But I remember kids that would share their federally controlled substances, and sometimes it's not the kid who brings the medicine. Sometimes it's the knucklehead sitting next to them that causes the issue. But I was just curious about the age and thing, and again, I do remember about the doctor signing off saying he approves of this and the training. So if you're comfortable with that,
Right.
You know.
And the parent also has to approve, so there's the doctor, the parent, and the student have to all verify that they are comfortable with it.
So if they do that, there's no liability issues or anything on our part as a district if another child gains access to that, or if they get pricked with a needle or nothing?
There is, that's why we really want to make sure that the student that we're allowing to self-medicate and self-monitor is actually mature enough and responsible enough to do it. Okay. And there have been cases where we have revoked that ability. We've had students that decided they wanted to share their inhaler. Just one example, and then we will revoke that.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's, we do our very best to, but,
Well, I know they're kids, and yeah, you can't account for every last thing, choices they make, but I was just curious. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion. It's been properly second. All those in favor? And the motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Dr. Harris.